Hey guys, getting 200 mil all tomorrow, so I decided to make another video on how I did each skill and in general like how I found the free time for 200 mil all. So I'm gonna try not to talk about RS3 or my alts so we can minimize the time in this video because it'll likely be a pretty long video. So to begin, I started old school at the end of the school year in 2016, so like June 2016 while I was still in high school. So right when I started old school, I already had like a really like I had a lot of free time because it was summer, I didn't have a job, I was young, stuff like that. So when I first started old school as a level 3, I instantly went for max. It only took me like 4 months. It was very, very quick because the first 2 months I was a neat, so I was just playing all day. Right when I finished max, I decided I didn't want to deal with the stress of people like PKing me in the wildy for black chins. So I rushed right into 200 mil hunter as soon as I finished maxed, and I remember it took me I think 4 or 5 months to do 200 mil hunter. I ended up getting it at the end of January in 2017, so it was a pretty quick skill. I enjoyed a lot of it. I think it was a good method. The thing about when I did hunter was there wasn't like it wasn't like as advanced as it was now. Like it was just kind of like shoot your own chins, don't worry about spawns. So it was a pretty slow rate compared to what you could usually get, but it wasn't that bad. And during this time, like during the school year, like I was still in high school, so I couldn't really play at school. I didn't know that much about Chrome Remote or TeamViewer, and I was too like stubborn to get used to it. So I would just pretty much go to high school, make sure I do like all my homework and stuff, make sure everything's done before I come back home, and then I would just be on from like pretty much the time I got home until I go to bed. And sleep was never really an issue for me. I mean, I still slept like 6 hours a day, probably average back then. But that wasn't really an issue for me because I was kind of used to it. Because I remember back in like Call of Duty days, I would be staying up late and then getting up early to play more. So sleep was a big factor. Like I feel like if you sleep less, it automatically like gives you so much extra free time to do pretty much anything. Anyways, while I was doing Hunter, I was also fletching on the side of it, like training them both at the same time. And I ended up getting 2-row fletching like a week later. And fletching I didn't really like at all. It hurt my hands. It was like pretty much the only skill that hurt my hands. So I wasn't that much of a fan of fletching, but it was quick, so I couldn't really complain about it. After I finished that, I decided to get some easy 200 mils. So I ended up doing like cooking and fire making. I did fire making to like 167 mil or whatever like the limit was for Infernal Axe because I wanted to get the rest while cutting teak logs. So I remember finishing cooking and then doing fire making instantly, and like both of them were like early like 2016 or 2017, sorry. And once I finished that, I was kind of like stuck on like what to do because I realized I didn't really like have any good money making methods to like fund all of like 200 mil all. So, I remember Zora getting nerfed around this time. It was like May 2017 or something like that. And Zora got nerfed, so I got upset because like farming seeds were so expensive back then. So I ended up staking and losing everything. I only had like a 200 mil bank, so I didn't lose that much. But that was like the last time I staked until I got 200 mil all. I remember being cleaned, and I was upset about it, obviously. And then I ended up deciding to do 200 mil woodcutting next. So you don't really need money for woodcutting, so I did that. I spent the whole entire summer woodcutting in 2017. I remember I was very close to doing a 60 mil month, but I didn't get it unfortunately. And I did 3 tick woodcutting for like the first like 30 mil woodcutting XP, and then I didn't know about the snake method, but I always figured there was a way to use it to like abuse it in a way for like 2.67 tick woodcutting, which I later became very good at. And I did that for the last like 170 mil XP or whatever, and I enjoyed that method a lot. It was probably one of my favorites. After 200 mil wood cutting, I don't really remember much of what I was doing around this time. I think I was just making money AFKing Zaya Runecrafting because I enjoyed Zaya RC. It was pretty much like one of the main reasons why I wanted to be a level 3 because I liked it over solo lavas. But I mean, I was doing Zora on my alt and Zaya RC for like a month or two just making money, and at that point I was only getting like such a small amount of Runecrafting XP every month, and I was like, wow, even if I play a lot, like this skill is gonna take so long because it's like a 5,000 hour skill. So, around like December 2017, I started talking to like my level 3 friends, and we were trying to find out like a quicker method for level 3s to like train rune crafting. So, I remember paying people to run me lavas for 2.5 mil an hour and I would run on my main on JCW, and they would like trade me every lap. And I guess that was a lot back then. I don't know, but I remember I got around like 88k XP an hour, and I remember wanting to do like a fat rune crafting week on Christmas break that year, but things changed because literally like around that time also someone like recommended me to try ZMI with runners, and I did that pretty much on like the last day of 2017 slash beginning of 2018. And then later on, like running ZMI became like the meta, and that became pretty much the thing I did for the entire year of 2018. So in the beginning of 2018, I was like running ZMI, and I thought it was super good. And I remember running myself like two alts, getting like 70k an hour, and I was thinking it was like so great. Like there's nothing better than this. This is so good. And then I ended up like starting to pay other people as well. Like it was low effort to like run, so why not like pay other people to run to me as well, which boosted my XP an hour up to like 100k. And I was like, wow, this method's so good. So this continued for like multiple months. I wouldn't care if I was doing it solo or if I paid people because I found solo a lot more chill. Like it was pretty reclined to run two accounts yourself and have no other runners. You still had some AFK time and stuff. It was an enjoyable method, but later on in like the summer, I was like 90 mil rune cap XP at the time, and I think someone asked me if they wanted to make an essence running server, and I said I was too lazy to, but like if they did, I'd probably help them with it. And we ended up making it, and it actually popped off. But then he ended up scamming like 300 mil worth of deposits, so I remember at that time I asked someone else in the server because I noticed he like deleted his Twitter, and I was like, "You noticed he deleted his Twitter?" And I was like, "Ah, rip server." But like, given how well the server did, I figured there would be like making a new server would be a smart idea. So I ended up making my own Essence running server, and that server ended up like really popping off later on in the future because after TOB and everything, PVMers just like had a bunch of money to spend, I guess. Money just became easier to get, and then it ended up getting like traded to like noobs running and stuff. It was very fun, but pretty much from when I made my server at like 95 mil, I made sure to always use a runner while rune crafting. And in my downtime, I guess I would kind of like make money like, doing Zora. I don't really remember what else I was doing, but I trained some herb around this time. Um, I think I think I did some crafting too. I don't remember, but when I was running, like when I had the server up, I was only like running or rune crafting. And if I didn't have time for like if no sessions were going either way, which is pretty rare, I would end up pretty much just doing like herb or crafting and stuff like that. So around like I kind of did, I guess you can kind of say I kind of did like herb and crafting somewhat passively in the sense that like at the time I really only focused mainly on rune crafting. And around this time, I didn't know anything about like what hour weeks I was pulling or whatever, but I remember they were fat because also in early 2018, I started using Chrome Remote for thieving, and I remember going to school and legit doing like 1 mil thieving days, like while in school. That was always my goal for each day. So that got me to like 90 mil thieving before they nerfed it. Oh, I don't think they nerfed it at that time, but I think school just kind of stopped, so I stopped using it. But then it got nerfed shortly after and ended up just doing Pyramid Plunder for the rest of it. But the buyables I kind of did passively, similar to agility. Like I'm not sure if you guys know, but like a lot of people just look at agility as kind of like a passive skill in the sense that like you just kind of do it when you want to chill, you want to AFK or whatever. I had like the same kind of mindset. Like, I was just doing it during literally every skill that I've done, just as a break for whatever. And if I wanted a break or I want to make money, I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna go do agility. Like for example, even when I did rune crafting and I was like running for other people, I was doing agility in my main at that time, and that was super good money running for other people. So it was probably like that easily was my most enjoyable method. Like I said, like I enjoyed like woodcutting and hunter a lot, but I think that easily takes the cake as like running for others and running for myself. Rune crafting in general was one of my favorite was definitely my favorite method. So that pretty much continued throughout the whole year. I would occasionally like after some time because it was easier to run for other people than it was for people to run for me because I was cheap, so I ended up paying less than other people, so my session wouldn't always fill. So I spent a large amount of time running for other people versus people running for me. So over time, my bank would just go up and up, and then whenever I saw it was at like a decent amount, like oh, all of a sudden I have 2 bill cash, like hey, why not dump 2 bill on mahogany planks, something like that, and I would end up doing like 200 mil construction during that time. That's kind of how Herb and Crafting went as well. Like I would just randomly like stack up on money, and then I would just be like, oh, time to spend it all, and that's how I'd end up doing those skills. Um, Around like the end of 2018, near like October, around that time, I was still like that was when I started college as well, so now things were different. I had a lot more free time at home, but at the same time I had homework to do, make sure I had to stay on top of it. I think in general with college you do like obviously you get a lot more free time, even including the work in my opinion, versus high school. So my weeks around this time, like when I started college, was probably like 90, 80 to 90, I believe. But it was very hard to tell because runecrafting EHP was never like right. So like whenever I did it, I couldn't really tell what my EHP was. But like all of college I ended up doing for like two. I've been in it for 2 years now, and I have one semester left. So we'll see how that goes. But I mean, in general, it gives a lot of free time compared to that. Oh, something I forgot to mention as well. 2018, like August. I don't remember what month, but like at some point in the summer, I ended up getting a job too, which slowed down my XP a bit. But like I said, college, like given that you had more free time in general, that kind of evened it out. Obviously, it was nothing compared to like already night thieving, like while it's at high school, and then coming home and then playing all that time because you never had any homework. But it was still very fat weeks and probably enough to like easily average like 4K years. I remember when I hit 200 mil RC in October, I started doing mining, and mining was kind of always a mess for me. I never really liked the skill. Like there was many times, like I can't really point out a time where like I continually did mining because I took so many breaks from it. Like I just didn't like the skill for some reason. It was just something that like I never really enjoyed. Like I would have my points where I would enjoy it for like I don't know, like a week or so, but then after that it would get so boring and I would end up skill hopping or going to something else. That was probably like I always knew that mining would be like the one skill that would burn me out if there was any, especially after I figured out how much I enjoyed runecrafting. So mining I pretty much did consistently for like the next, well, inconsistently I guess for the next like all of 2019 and the end of 2018. I would just skill hop to whatever other skills I had left. I think around that time, like 2019, the stuff I had left was probably like agility. I would do some agility while maxing my ult. I remember that. I remember I spent a month thieving. I smashed out 200 mil thieving with one of my level 3 friends. We both did do a plunder for a whole month. That was during Christmas break actually. That was a lot of fun. I'm trying to think what else I did in 2019. I think that was about it. Oh, yeah, I remember I spent a month doing smithing, and that was a lot of fun as well. And at this point, my weeks kind of slowed down just because mining demotivated me, but I was still motivated enough. Like, I was determined to get 200 mil all, so I was still motivated enough to be playing like 60-hour weeks or so. I remember around the end of 2019, I started to become a little more busy IRL. Well, I guess this was like the beginning of 2020 actually, but in general, I became a little more busy IRL, so I ended up starting to play less, burning out because of mining. I like it was hard like already that I didn't play as much as I used to, but then on top of that, like mining, I didn't like mining. So that's why at the beginning of 2020, my rate to like 200 mil slowed down like significantly. But once I got 200 mil mining, I had like 100 mil fishing left, and I remember like I was AFK'd fish at work. But on top of that, I also spent 2 months in 2019, doing two-tick fishing because one of my level 3 friends told me like we were able to do it, and I was like, whoa, no way, I don't want that to get nerfed. So I tried going for 200 mil, but at like 100 mil, I got kind of burnt and just wanted to go back to mining to make sure like I could like confirm that I could confirm definitely get 200 mil mining. So I ended up stalling like 100 mil fishing, and I just did like 20 mil over time at work, I think. Anyways, like March 2019, I got 200 mil mining, and all I had left at that point was fishing. So ever since then, that's also around the time. Wait, I said March 2020, I hope, because that's what I meant. But around that time, like COVID started popping off, so I ended up like smashing fishing a lot faster than I expected to. So 200 mil fishing, like I said, I'm busier IRL nowadays. So 200 mil fishing, like I was expecting to do like 15 to 20 mil months, but like with COVID, because like school was online, stuff like that, I ended up doing like 20, pretty consistent, like 25 mil months. So fishing was very quick for me, in my opinion. I'm really glad I finished, and I think it's a good time to finish because like I said, I started in June 2016, so I think finishing in June 2020 is pretty neat. I would love to do it on the 20th because that's when I finish RS3. but I don't feel like waiting that time. I think it's unnecessary. That's pretty much, I think I covered every skill. I remember doing fire making. I don't remember exactly when, but I did winter top for the outfit, and then I ended up doing logs for the rest of the way. Besides that, I'm pretty sure I ended up doing like the efficient method for everything. I know I took like a 3 week break from mining, doing mother load instead of granite because I was going for infernal cape on my alt. I believe besides those two, like winter tot and mining, like during that time, I ended up doing the most efficient method for everything I could at the time. Because like 1.5 techniques later on came out, that would have been like significantly better, but I wouldn't have known how much I would have enjoyed it, so I can't really like be upset about it. But anyways, now that I'm 200 mil fishing tomorrow, hopefully, my plans for post 200 mil all. So basically I started like a couple more alts to get like my goal, my end game goal right now. Like I'm not gonna go hard on them. I'm just gonna kind of play casually and focus on other games, stuff like that. So my other alts, I'm gonna end up like aim for DS2, stuff like that. So I can have max untradeable gear like Vorkath head, hopefully Infernal Capes long term, but I think that will take some time. But basically just do kind of gonna do casual PVM on my alt. I don't think I'll be playing JCW anymore. I think at most, like I will most definitely come back if Soul Wars becomes a thing. I know today they nerfed the Slayer method, so we only have Museum now, and I do not want to spend 6,000 hours in Museum. Given how much I play now, that would probably take me like 3 years, so I'm uninterested in that. But Soul Wars wouldn't be that bad. I'd assume it would be like 5k an hour and pretty AFK, so much better than Museum in my opinion. But if it doesn't come out, I mean, I'm happy. I had a lot of fun in old school. Um, 70 Slayer. Maybe I'll go for like a flat Slayer level, like 70 or something. But like I said, I'm not interested in Slayer. They nerfed the other method. That was like my only hope. I wasn't really planning on doing it, but I mean, I had some thoughts in the back of my head. But now that it's nerfed, I have like nothing. So that's pretty much it, I think. So see you guys. Thank you for watching.